Whether you're a large corporation, a school, or a small business, you need to effectively communicate your message. For years, we have struggled with the limitations of changeable copy signs. The disadvantages are many. First off, it's inconvenient to change messages. You have to struggle with polls, finding letters, dealing with heights, and when it's inconvenient, you don't change your message as often as you'd like. Only one message can appear at a time. Once you put that one message up there, that's that, and that's all you can say. Messages become white noise in a sea of changeable copy signs all around us. Messages can be easily altered by vandals. How many times have we seen a message up there that we know that the owner did not intend? And lastly, there are no colors or effects to catch the attention of your customer. Again, for years we have struggled with these limitations with no economical alternatives until now. The Marquee Light Plus can transform your sign with these distinct advantages. With a user-friendly interface, your sign stores and displays up to 99 messages. Multiple messages turn your one sign into many signs. Special features like time and temperature make your sign a valuable asset to the community. All of your messages are held secure behind a password-protected firewall. Vivid colors and multiple effects get your message noticed. Your sign becomes a tireless employee, actively and effectively speaking to your customers 24 hours a day. For the sake of simplicity, the Marquee Light Plus does not use a bulky, complicated PC interface to learn. All you need to program your sign is a simple remote control. When familiarizing yourself with the remote control, you want to recognize the three main areas on the remote. The top part of the remote is the character input area. At the top part was where you have number or letter input functions. It's also where you choose your colors and your fonts and the width of the fonts. Underneath the character input buttons, you see the effect and control buttons. They are laid out in a circular fashion so that you can easily navigate without having to look down at the remote. Of course, the center button, OK, is a select, and then you have up and down selections and speed, fast, or slow. It's also right around that where you have your ancillary functions like space and delete, copy, and escape, and you'll use these often. This is where you'll stay with your thumb most of the time on the remote. Under that, you'll see the special icons and symbols and foreign language buttons. These will not be used as often, but they're still very important to the operation of the remote. In short, the remote puts all the functions that you need right at your fingertips. The value and the affordability of the Marquee Light Plus lies with the simple remote interface, coupled with the flange design, allowing it to be slid into any cabinet like a traditional sign face. The Marquee Light Plus is not comparable to an EMC. It is actually a tremendous upgrade on a cumbersome, static, changeable copy display. When you touch the menu button, the first thing you see is Add Contents. This is the gateway by which you input all the information into your display. To add a message and to add a single line, the first thing it asks you to do is input characters. Of course, the input characters is the top section of the keypad we discussed earlier. You select your letter just like you would a text message on a phone. So to input your message, you choose the font first. Now, once you get the first letter up there, we have a font that we like, so I'm going to leave that alone, but you just touch the buttons. And again, as long as you're touching a different button than the one you just pushed, you don't have to advance it unless you're going to put a space, as we just did there. But like, for instance, I can change colors, the touch of a button. And if I'm about to touch the same button again twice, as I'm about to do here as I'm inputting my message, this is an S. I want to do another S, so again I have to advance it manually because if not, it would just keep on cycling through the letters. But after I do that, then again it advances automatically, so I hit the A and it automatically advances for me. G, and then lastly E. Now my message is in the unit. I can test and see, does everything fit? So I'll go back here and yes, everything fits just fine. So the first thing it's going to ask me to do after I input that is how would you like to insert the message, or what's the insertion effect. The first thing you're always going to see is automatic. And automatic is for a demo mode, but you really don't want to use that for a message because it's a lot of flashes and a lot of colors, and it really makes the message not as legible. So you want to choose a different effect to input the message. And again, this is how the message is going to appear on the screen as it comes up. Beam is a good one to look at. We'll look at that one. Now, as you see, the default is rather slow, so you might want to speed it up with this middle section of keys that we talked about earlier that allow you to speed up or slow down the message, and that's just like that. Or you might look at that and say, well, I think I'd rather choose something else. So just hit the escape button, which is right there in that same cluster. Then you can choose another one. To appear is, as you'd imagine, just the message just appears. Lens is a good one. I use that one a lot. I like it because it starts small and gets big. And again, it's a little slow, so let's speed it up. All right, now that's the insertion effect. Now it's asking for the preservation effect, how the unit displays the message once the message is there on the screen. A lot of times you want to use fruitless, which means no effect at all. The message sits there, it doesn't do anything because you want it to be as legible as possible. Some of these effects Again, a little flashy. They may affect the legibility, so for fruitless, that's a good one to choose. There's a couple others that work well though, like to shake. You can see how that works right there. So to have an effect on the message while it's sitting there, that's the choice that you're making with the preservation effect. The next thing it's going to ask me is how many seconds do I want to hold it. Now, I can hold it 1 second up to 99 seconds, or I can hold it minutes. I can hold it up to 99 minutes. If you happen to be in an area where you have zoning regulations that don't allow you to flash a flash a message for only so many times, then this is what you're going to use minutes instead of seconds. But we're going to use seconds on ours. There we go, seconds. And I'm going to hold it for 2 seconds. Now it asks me for the release effect. And the release effect is simply how the message goes away. Once you have shown it and preserved it, now how does it leave? So we'll let it leave the same way it came in with the lens effect. You hit select, you hit OK again to select it, and the message is stored. Now let's scroll on down to number 4, index contents. When you input messages into the MarqueeLite Plus, they're stored in the index, which is basically a library where all the messages are held. As you see, the first message here, the second, the third, the fourth, all the messages are in my catalog, and I can turn a message on or off just by simply hitting the button. And then only the ones that are on, shown by the 0, are the ones that display. So effectively, I can go out and turn 2 or 3 messages on at a time. I can have 50, I can have 99 messages saved in the unit, but I can turn them on and off, and that allows me just to show the messages I want to show, but still have others saved for reoccurring events or things like that I want to show. So if we scroll back up to number 2, we can modify our contents, which is very important. This is where you can choose one of your existing messages and make updates or changes without having to create a whole new message. Well, I'll just go in here to modify contents. I go to select any one of the messages that are already input into the unit, and I can modify. Now that you have your messages stored, you really want to protect them with a password. Simply pick a 4-digit number to protect your messages from tampering. Whether new construction or retrofitting an existing location, the MarqueeLite Plus represents the simplest way to integrate LED technology into your sign.